Mahindra has finally entered the electric passenger vehicle space with this car, the XUV400. Showcased at the 2020 Auto Expo as the eXUV300 concept, this is the production ready version and is the first in a line of electric vehicles that Mahindra will launch over the course of few years. Those electric vehicles were showcased in the UK last year and will arrive in production, guys, around 2024 and 2025. Now, while that may be in the future, at present this car has an important task for Mahindra, which is to challenge the increasingly popular Tata Nexon EV range that's been on sale in India since 2020 and is actually the first vehicle to enter the passenger space in terms of electric vehicles. Does this car have what it takes? We're going to tell you that by telling you 5 things you should know about the Mahindra XUV400. Are you enjoying the content on our channel? Then do hit those like, share and subscribe buttons and also hit that bell icon to be notified the instant we put out a new video. Mahindra claims an ARAI certified range of 456 km, which is marginally higher than that of the Tata Nexon EV Max that stands at 437 km. Now 19 km may not seem like a huge amount in the larger scheme of things, but can mean the difference between making it the last few kilometers to a charging station versus having to push the car. This is of course a range that has been certified in test conditions, and real world figures are expected to be lesser for both vehicles. For the Mahindra XUV400, once we put it through the gamut of CarWale's real-world range tests. The Mahindra XUV400 is being offered with a 39.4 kWh lithium-ion battery pack. This battery pack can be charged from 0 to 80% via a 50 kW DC fast charger in just 50 minutes, while with a 7.2 kWh charger, it takes 6 hours 30 minutes for a 0 to 100% charge. And the same is achieved in 13 hours while using a standard 3.3 kWh domestic socket. With a 50 kWh DC fast charger, the Tata Nexon EV Max goes from 0 to 80% in 56 minutes, while the 7.2 kWh AC fast charger takes it to a full charge in 6.5 hours. Finally, when plugged into a 15 ampere domestic wall socket, the car will be fully charged in 15 hours. In terms of outright performance figures, the XUV400's electric motors produce 150 bhp and 310 Nm of torque and has a 0 to 100 kmph time of 8.3 seconds with a top speed of 150 kmph. For the Tata Nexon EV Max, it's 141 bhp and 250 Nm. Both cars are front wheel drive. Now we're here in the cabin of the XUV400, more specifically, we're in the first row and it's a very familiar looking space, and that's of course because it's based on the XUV300. Highlights here include this all black design as compared to the beige and black design of the XUV300, these copper inserts around the gear lever, the radio controlled volume knob, the AC vents and of course the copper Twin Peaks logo on the steering. The seats themselves seem quite comfortable on initial impressions, but they don't have ventilation, which has become a very common thing in this part of the market nowadays. Now, this interior upon initial impression feels a little bit lower down as compared to the Tata Nexon EV in terms of touch and feel, but that's something we'll be able to tell you in depth when we get both the cars together and put them to CarWale's interior and exterior comparison test. Now we're here in the second row of the Mahindra XUV400 and it's actually not a bad place to be in. You get the same amount of space as you'd get in the XUV300 simply because this has the same wheelbase. The added length has been translated into additional space in the boot. Highlights here include this center armrest with 2 cup holders, 1 liter bottle holders in both the doors, these string-like attachments to keep items in between. It's actually missing 1 or 2 features, one of which is of course the central AC vents, and the other being a proper seat back pocket or even a space to store your phone safely. The XUV300 and the XUV400 both have the same wheelbase of 2600 mm, but the latter, by virtue of the added length, gets a larger boot at 368 litres compared to the former's 257 litres. The Tata Nexon EV Max, on the other hand, is a sub 4 meter SUV and thus sits slightly behind the XUV400 in terms of outright space. It is a 3.9 meter long car with a wheelbase of 2498 mm. However, it's not too far behind with the XUV in terms of boot space, as that stands at 350 litres. The XUV400 is fully loaded and gets features like a touchscreen infotainment system, instrument cluster with black and white MID, BlueSense mobile app, driver assessment and vehicle information in the infotainment system, steering mounted controls, and an electric sunroof. The car that has been unveiled is expected to be a top spec version with 6 airbags, all 4 disc brakes, ISO fixed child seat mounting points, and ABS with EBD. On the features front, Tata has added ventilated seats, wireless charging, electric sunroof, and an illuminated gear selector dial with separate buttons for various drive modes. Other features include a touchscreen infotainment system with Apple CarPlay and Android Auto, climate control, air purifier, cooled glove box, auto dimming IRVM, cruise control, rear AC vents, and a tire pressure monitoring system. In terms of safety, even the highest versions of the Nexon EV Max gets the basics like hill descent and ascent control, traction control system, rear discs, ABS with EBD, and reverse camera with dynamic guidelines. However, despite being a top spec XZ Plus Lux model, you only get dual front airbags. The exterior design of the Mahindra XUV400 will look familiar with just one glance, and that's because it's essentially the SsangYong Tivoli in full size, which is what the XUV300 is based on. Now, because this is an electric vehicle, you don't get a grille here, and instead you get like this flat piece of plastic here covering where the grille would be. This is the first car in India to debut Mahindra's new copper Twin Peaks logo. Other highlights of the face include the rectangular headlamps, projectors, these copper elements here where the fog lamps are on the standard ICE engine car, these copper elements here, and of course this large chunky bumper that adds well to the face. You also get these like slight bulges on the bonnet to give that sort of muscular appearance. When you look at the XUV400 in profile, you can notice the extra length that it has over the XUV300, and that is most evident here in the C-pillar. Now, other highlights here include these machined alloy wheels, the large ORVMs with the integrated indicators, this contrast colored copper roof, which is actually an optional extra color. Also visible at the bottom of the doors is this cladding, which has this black plastic on top and of course the copper color at the bottom. Now at the rear of the XUV400, there are quite a few elements to catch your attention. These include these tail lamps with this rather intricate pattern, and this is an update of what is offered on the XUV300, and there's a possibility we may see it there. Other highlights here include, of course, the Twin Peaks copper logo and this roof spoiler with, if you notice up close, there are actually air vents here to improve efficiency. Now that we've told you everything about the Mahindra XUV400, the exterior, the interior and the feature list, you can go and check them out on our website www.carwale.com. What Mahindra needs to do to make this car a complete success is to price it aggressively, and we believe that aggressive price will be in the range of Rs 17 lakh to Rs 22 lakh, putting it on par with the Nexon EV Max. The Mahindra XUV400 is also a rival for the likes of the MG ZS EV in its lower spec Excite variant that's expected to arrive later this year. Price announcement will take place in January, we believe around the date of the Auto Expo. For all the details on the Mahindra XUV400, do visit our website carwale.com. Thank you so much for watching. Take care.